Welcome to English Lift, your favorite place to practice English. I am very happy to welcome you to our channel today. Today, we have a very exciting, emotional, and motivational story for you. It is a story about a young man with a unique gift, a giant conflict between two massive worlds, and a true king who must save everyone from a terrible war. As you watch and listen to this beautiful story, you will practice your English listening skills and learn new words easily. Listening to stories every day is the best way to understand English quickly and speak fluently. Let us begin our inspiring journey together. Our story begins near a tall white lighthouse next to a very wild blue ocean. A long time ago, during a dark and violent storm, a kind lighthouse keeper named Tom was looking out at the heavy rain. Suddenly, Tom spotted an unconscious woman lying on the wet shore. She was badly injured and barely breathing. Oddly, even in her deep sleep, she gripped a strange, heavy metal spear with 3 sharp prongs called a trident. Tom did not hesitate. He rushed out through the howling wind and cold rain, lifted her up gently, and carried her into the safety of his warm lighthouse. He had no idea that his simple life was about to change forever. When the mysterious woman finally woke up, intense fear flashed in her bright eyes. She immediately raised her heavy trident, ready to strike him down. But Tom did not flinch or run away. He calmly looked at her and reassured her with a soft voice, telling her to take it easy because she had stopped breathing. Exhausted and completely confused, the woman quickly lost consciousness again, leaving Tom with no answers to his many questions. Tom took excellent care of the mysterious visitor. He carefully dressed her painful wounds, kept her warm, and prepared a hot meal for her. When she woke up a second time, she was disoriented and absolutely starving. Without waiting, she picked up Tom's little pet fish and ate it raw. Tom was completely unfazed by this strange behavior. He simply smiled and offered her a hot cup of tea. This kind gesture earned Tom her very first genuine, beautiful smile. Eventually, as the days passed, she trusted him enough to reveal the incredible truth. Her name was Atlanta, and she was the powerful Queen of Atlantis, a secret city deep under the ocean. She was running away from her home to escape a forced, arranged marriage. Against all odds, the humble lighthouse keeper and the ocean queen fell deeply in love. Soon, they had a beautiful baby boy named Arthur. But their peaceful life would not last long. Their happiness was shattered one dark evening when armored Atlantean soldiers suddenly stormed into the lighthouse. They came to take her back by the strict authority of King Orvac. Tom quickly hid their baby while Atlanta fought fiercely against the guards, successfully defeating them all with her amazing strength. However, she knew the soldiers would never stop hunting her. To protect her beloved husband and baby, she made the painful choice to return to the sea. Before diving into the waves, she made a beautiful promise to Tom, saying that one day, when it was completely safe, she would return to him. And just like that, she was gone, leaving Tom alone to raise young Arthur. Arthur grew up very different from the other children in the town. At school, the cruel kids constantly mocked him and called him a strange freak. One day, during a school trip to a giant aquarium, everything changed forever. The kids were laughing at Arthur because he was standing near a tank and talking to the swimming fish. Suddenly, a massive shark slammed aggressively into the thick glass, as if it were defending Arthur from the bullies. While the other children screamed and ran away in fear, Arthur remained perfectly calm. He held out his hand, looking completely connected to the dangerous sea creature. That was the exact moment everyone understood that Arthur was far more than just different. He belonged to another, much grander world. Many years later, deep inside the dark ocean, a group of ruthless pirates hijacked a large military submarine. The pirates were deadly and cruel until something heavy hit the submarine from the outside. The lights inside began to flicker and die, and pure panic set in among the criminals. Then, a powerful, muscular figure stepped aboard the vessel. Arthur had returned, but now the world knew him as Aquaman. Arthur stormed through the narrow metal hallways, swiftly defeating the pirates and freeing the captured crew. The lead pirate, a man named Manta, was enraged by the intrusion and attacked him, but Arthur completely overpowered him. Another pirate named Jesse attempted to shoot Arthur with a powerful prototype weapon, but the blast only briefly stunned him. Arthur quickly recovered, injured Jesse, and left the remaining pirates stranded inside the damaged, sinking submarine. As Arthur prepared to leave the vessel, Jesse fired one last desperate shot. The weapon ricocheted off the wall and damaged the submarine's internal systems, causing cold ocean water to flood the interior rapidly. In the middle of the heavy chaos, a massive gas tank broke loose and fell heavily, crushing Jesse's leg underneath it. Manta frantically tried to free his father, but he lacked the physical strength to lift the heavy metal tank. Desperate and crying, Manta pleaded for Arthur's help, begging him to save his drowning father. But Arthur coldly refused. He looked at them and stated that they had killed many innocent people in the past, and now they had to face the consequences of their bad choices. With his very final breath, Jesse stared into his son's eyes and gave him one last command, telling him he must survive so he could find and kill Arthur. Jesse then activated a hand grenade, sacrificing himself to blow up the compartment as the submarine exploded. Manta managed to survive the blast, but the man he once was died alongside his father. In that dark moment, justice no longer mattered to him. All he wanted now was absolute revenge against Aquaman. Later that day, Arthur returned to the sunny shore where he happily reunited with his father, Tom. Tom was incredibly relieved to see his son safe and suggested they grab a hot breakfast together at a local bar, just like old times. While they were sitting together, the television news anchors reported the amazing rescue of the hijacked submarine, mentioning unconfirmed reports that a powerful metahuman called Aquaman was responsible. Arthur shrugged the news off casually, but Tom looked at his son with immense pride, saying that Arthur's mother always knew he was special. To Arthur, he was just doing what was right, but to the surface world, he was becoming a legendary hero. However, as the conversation continued, Arthur shifted uncomfortably in his seat. The mere word Atlantis made his entire body tense up. He sharply told Tom to drop the subject, declaring that he owed that underwater place absolutely nothing. To Arthur, Atlantis was a cruel kingdom that took his mother away from him. Tom tried to reason with his angry son, but Arthur exploded with emotion, shouting that the people of Atlantis killed his mother simply for loving a human and having a child. Tom gently placed a hand on his son's heavy shoulder, telling him that he could not carry that painful guilt in his heart forever. But for Arthur, That sadness never left his mind, not even for a single second. Suddenly, their serious conversation was interrupted when a group of happy bar patrons recognized Arthur. To his complete surprise, they enthusiastically approached him with their phones, asking for selfies and treating the rough hero like a famous celebrity. Meanwhile, deep underwater in the beautiful, glowing city of Atlantis, a powerful young man named King Orm was preparing for a grand meeting. King Orm met with his chief advisor, a wise man named Vulko, and led a large delegation to the neighboring kingdom of Zebul. King Orm sought an urgent audience with King Nereus to discuss a major impending threat to their underwater world. At the formal meeting, Orm argued passionately that the surface humans were a growing danger to their survival, bringing their loud military submarines dangerously close to the borders of Atlantis. He proposed a massive preemptive strike on the surface world to eliminate the human threat permanently. King Nereus, however, strongly opposed the dangerous idea. He calmly believed that humanity was inherently foolish and would ultimately destroy themselves without any outside intervention. But Orm insisted that humanity's constant aggression would inevitably target Atlantis next. King Nereus remained unconvinced and reminded Orm that any global invasion required the legal backing of 4 separate Atlantean kingdoms. Orm claimed he had a secret plan to rally the necessary support, but he explicitly needed Nereus's help to solidify the new alliances. Sensing Orm's deep ambition, King Nereus openly accused him of using the human threat as a clever ploy to claim the coveted ultimate title of Ocean Master. Orm denied caring about the grand title, but Nereus highly doubted his sincerity. Furthermore, Nereus mentioned quiet whispers about a half-breed heir living on the surface who had a potential rightful claim to the throne of Atlantis. Orm dismissed the rumor with anger, revealing his deep disdain for his half-brother Arthur, whom he directly blamed for their mother's tragic execution. The two shared the same mother, Queen Atlanta, but Orm's hatred for Arthur ran deep, rooted in years of resentment and grief. Suddenly, their tense meeting was abruptly interrupted by a violent, unexpected submarine attack that killed several of Orm and Nereus's guards. Furious and filled with rage, King Orm retaliated instantly, single-handedly destroying the submarine with his incredible speed. This violent disruption shocked King Nereus and convinced him to reconsider Orm's dark warnings. Believing they were under attack by humans, Nereus agreed to form a powerful military alliance, setting the stage for a united Atlantean front against humanity. Orm proudly declared that it was finally time to send a loud, terrifying message to the surface world. Back on land, Arthur was driving his father home from the bar after Tom had indulged in a bit too much to drink. As they drove down the coastal road, Arthur noticed something strange. Hundreds of birds were fleeing the coastline in panic. He looked out the window and saw a terrifying sight. A massive, skyscraper-sized tsunami wave was barreling directly toward their truck. Arthur floored the gas pedal, trying to outrun the water, but the giant wave quickly overtook the vehicle, crashing down with immense force. Before disaster could strike, a beautiful woman named Mira suddenly appeared. Using her magical power to control water, she created a protective air pocket around them inside the rushing ocean. Arthur scrambled to pull his unconscious father from the wrecked truck. Mira quickly used her powers to remove the water from Tom's lungs, successfully reviving him. As they looked out at the massive destruction, Mira revealed that this giant wave was Orm's doing, a cruel warning to the surface world. She warned that a brutal war was coming, and Arthur reluctantly agreed to follow her into the deep ocean to stop his brother. Arriving in Atlantis for the very first time, Arthur was completely struck by the grandeur and beautiful lights of the massive underwater city. Mira secretly led him to a hidden cave to meet Vulko, who was overjoyed to see Arthur after years of waiting. Arthur wasted no time and angrily demanded answers about the attack on the surface world. Vulko explained that King Orm was preparing a full-scale war and had already united two kingdoms. The only way to stop the upcoming bloodshed was for Arthur to challenge his brother for the throne and become the rightful king. Arthur, still highly resistant, argued that he had no desire to rule an underwater kingdom. Vulko urged him to reconsider, explaining that the citizens of Atlantis would only accept Arthur's rule if he retrieved the legendary lost trident of King Atlan, the very first ruler of the ocean. This ancient weapon held immense magical power and would grant Arthur the immediate legitimacy needed to challenge Orm. Vulko explained that Atlantis was once an advanced civilization on the surface, but a catastrophic scientific experiment sank the entire kingdom to the ocean floor centuries ago. The first king, Atlan, went into lonely exile with his trident, hiding it where no ordinary person could ever find it. Vulko presented an ancient, dusty recording device that contained King Atlan's final message and the secret location of the weapon. However, before Arthur could take the device, Orm's elite soldiers suddenly ambushed their meeting, blowing the cave apart. Arthur fought the attackers bravely while Mira and Vulko retreated to protect their secret identities. Despite his incredible strength, Arthur was eventually outnumbered, captured by the guards, and brought before King Orm in heavy chains. Orm looked down at his chained half-brother with deep disdain, surprised to see him in Atlantis. When Orm asked if Arthur had come to challenge him for the throne, Arthur boldly declared that he was there to stop the war. Orm smiled and accepted the challenge to a formal duel, confident that he could easily defeat his brother. Before the big fight began in a giant underwater arena filled with thousands of shouting citizens, Vulko visited Arthur and warned him that fighting under the deep water was completely different from fighting on dry land. The bitterness of his mother's memory fueled Arthur's determination as he swam into the grand arena to face his brother. The duel began with extreme violence. Although Arthur struggled initially against his brother's superior underwater training, he managed to land a few heavy strikes. However, the tide soon turned, and Orm completely gained the upper hand, shattering Arthur's weapon. Just as Orm raised his blade to deliver a final fatal blow, Mira bravely intervened, using her magic to trap King Orm inside a suffocating air pocket. She arrived in her fast underwater ship and urged Arthur to escape with her immediately. They fled the arena at high speed, with Orm and his angry guards pursuing them through the ocean trenches. Although the guards managed to destroy Mira's ship, Arthur and Mira cleverly evaded capture by hiding inside the mouth of a massive whale. Arthur used his unique ability to communicate with the whale, asking it to carry them away safely. Believing the fugitives were dead, Orm called off the search. Once they were safe, Mira told Arthur they must travel to the dry Sahara Desert on the surface to play the ancient recording device, which Arthur had managed to save. On a plane ride to Africa, Mira expressed deep regret, feeling that she had betrayed her family and her kingdom by saving Arthur. Arthur tried to comfort her with a warm joke, saying that at least she would not have to marry his arrogant brother Orm. Their tracking device soon pinpointed the ancient, dried-up location of the deserter kingdom, and they parachuted out of the plane down into the hot desert sand. Meanwhile, back in Atlantis, Orm discovered that Mira's tracking bracelet was transmitting a signal from the desert. Orm met secretly with the pirate Manta, who was still alive and seeking vengeance. Orm handed Manta a highly advanced suite of Atlantean armor and a powerful plasma weapon, ordering him to hunt down and kill Arthur and Mira. Manta gladly accepted the mission, caring only about avenging his father's death. In the hot desert, Arthur and Mira finally discovered a hidden entrance to an ancient underground temple. Inside the temple, they placed King Atlan's recording device into a large stone mechanism. A giant, glowing hologram of King Atlan emerged into the room, revealing that the true path to the legendary trident was hidden beyond the hidden sea, accessible only by a secret map sealed inside an ancient bottle. As the hologram faded, Mira smashed the recorder so no one else could follow them. A secret compartment opened in the floor, revealing a beautifully crafted glass bottle with a map inside pointing directly to a location in Italy. They traveled to a beautiful, vibrant coastal city in Italy to decipher the map. At the historic location, Arthur correctly deduced that the ancient bottle had to be placed into the hand of a specific stone statue of a king. When he did this, the sunlight shone through the glass, revealing their next coordinates in the middle of the ocean. But before they could celebrate, Manta suddenly ambushed them with a devastating blast from his new helmet. A violent, destructive battle erupted across the beautiful Italian city. Manta pursued Arthur through the streets, blasting buildings with his powerful lasers, while Mira fought off Orm's elite soldiers on the rooftops, defeating them one by one with her incredible agility. Arthur fought back with pure determination, enduring heavy injuries from Manta's blades. During the intense struggle, Arthur managed to damage Manta's advanced suit, causing the pirate to lose his balance and crash heavily into the jagged seaside rocks before falling into the ocean. Exhausted, bleeding, and deeply injured, Arthur collapsed onto the ground. Mira rushed to his side, and before he passed out, Arthur warned her that her bracelet was tracking them. Realizing her mistake, Mira immediately smashed the plastic bracelet to pieces. Meanwhile, deep under the sea, King Orm grew tired of waiting. He marched his army to the kingdom of the fishermen. When the peaceful king refused to join his violent war, Orm ruthlessly killed him in front of his family, forcing the young princess to pledge her army to his cause. Only one kingdom remained before Orm could launch his total assault on humanity. Arthur woke up groggy but alive aboard a small wooden boat that Mira had stolen to follow the secret map. Their dangerous destination was the terrifying kingdom of the Trench, the exact place where Queen Atlanta had supposedly been executed years ago. Mira warned Arthur that the Trench was a realm of absolute death, filled with millions of monstrous, light-fearing creatures. As night fell over the dark ocean, a massive horde of terrifying amphibious monsters swarmed their boat, attacking them from all sides. Realizing they were completely overwhelmed, Arthur and Mira grabbed bright red emergency flares, discovered that the monsters feared the bright light and dove deep into the stormy water to find the magical portal to the hidden sea. They swam through the dark water surrounded by monsters, holding hands tightly as they jumped into a glowing blue whirlpool. The intense energy of the portal violently separated them, knocking Mira unconscious. She drifted into the beautiful sunlit waters of the hidden sea, where a giant sea monster prepared to devour her. Suddenly, a mysterious figure wrapped in animal skins rushed forward and saved her. When Mira woke up on the golden shore, the savior slowly removed her helmet, revealing her face. It was Queen Atlanta, Arthur's mother, still alive after all these years. Arthur swam ashore a moment later, and his eyes filled with tears of joy as he saw his mother standing before him. They embraced tightly, and Atlanta explained that she had survived the trench and escaped into this hidden world. However, she had been trapped here for 20 years because the portal was strictly a one-way door. The only way to escape back to the real world was to claim King Atlan's trident, which was fiercely guarded by a massive ancient sea monster called the Carathan. Atlanta gently told her son that only a true worthy king could lift the weapon. Arthur walked behind a giant roaring waterfall and entered a massive stone chamber where the skeleton of King Atlan sat on a throne, holding the golden trident. Suddenly, the colossal Carathan emerged from the shadows, mocking Arthur for being a half-human breed and attacking him mercilessly. On the brink of death, Arthur did not fight back with anger. Instead, he used his unique gift to speak directly to the monster, calmly admitting that he knew he was not perfect and that he did not want to be a grand king. He only wanted to save his family and his people from a terrible war. The ancient creature was completely stunned because no one had been able to speak to it since King Atlan centuries ago. Sensing Arthur's true humility and pure heart, the Carathan allowed him to approach the throne. Arthur stepped forward, gripped the golden weapon, and a massive blast of golden energy exploded through the chamber. He had successfully claimed the trident, proving himself to be the one true king of Atlantis. Arthur emerged from the waterfall wearing beautiful golden armor, holding the legendary weapon high. Together with Mira and his mother, they rode the massive Carathan through the portal, returning to the ocean world just as King Orm was launching a brutal civil war against the Brine Kingdom. The massive underwater battle was filled with lasers, giant crabs, and thousands of soldiers. Suddenly, Arthur arrived riding atop the colossal Carathan, wielding the golden trident. The sight left both armies completely awestruck, instantly recognizing Arthur as their true legendary king. Arthur used the power of the trident to command the creatures of the sea to stop the fighting. Mira quickly swam to King Nereus, showing him the golden trident as absolute proof. Convinced by the ancient miracle, King Nereus ordered his soldiers to stand down, proudly proclaiming Arthur as their new king. Arthur then lured his brother Orm to the surface of the ocean for one final decisive duel on the wet metal deck of a ship. Orm fought with absolute rage, refusing to accept a half-breed on the throne. But Arthur fought with newfound mastery, calm confidence, and the power of the true king. With a swift movement, Arthur shattered Orm's weapon and defeated him completely. Orm shouted at Arthur to kill him, but Arthur refused to use unnecessary violence, stating that he was not a monster. Suddenly, Queen Atlanta emerged from the water, halting the conflict completely. Orm was stunned to see his mother alive and burst into tears as she embraced him tightly. She gently explained to Orm that his father's violent teachings were wrong and that the land and the sea were meant to coexist in peace. Orm's heart softened completely, and he peacefully allowed Volko to take him into custody. Mira held Arthur's hand and publicly announced him to the ocean world. The entire sea erupted in celebration, chanting the name of King Arthur. The very next morning, back at the old lighthouse, Tom walked out to the wooden dock as he had done every single day for 20 years. To his complete amazement, he saw Atlanta waiting for him in the morning sun. They ran into each other's arms, united as a family at last, while Arthur assumed his rightful place as the King of Atlantis, permanently bridging the worlds of land and sea. This beautiful story teaches us a very powerful life lesson about true leadership, humility, and the strength of family love. It shows us that being a real leader does not mean being the strongest or the most aggressive person in the room. It means having a good heart, staying humble, and protecting the people you love from harm. Hard work, honesty, and a belief in doing what is right can heal old wounds and bring peace to your world. Thank you so much for watching this video and practicing your English listening with us today at English Lift. Remember, practicing with our simple English stories every single day is the absolute best way to boost your fluency and become a confident speaker. If you were inspired by Arthur's incredible journey, please click the like button right now, subscribe to our channel, and leave a comment below to tell us what you think. Stay strong, keep learning, and we will see you in our next exciting story.